So what happens when you have a pimp, his prostitute, and a drug dealer working together to take down the U.S. government who's allegedly kidnapping and cloning people in their neighborhood? Well, you got this movie, and we're here to talk about it. What's going on, movie fans, and welcome back to my channel. I am so excited to be here with you all talking about the new Netflix science fiction comedy mystery film by the name of They Cloned Tyrone. Now, I feel like I saw the trailer for this like 4 or 5 years ago, and it is finally here, and we're talking about it in today's spoiler-free review. But first, I want to talk to y'all in the comments. Let me know if you were excited to see this film, and of course, once you've seen it, let's talk pros and cons. Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite moment? What were the deeper meanings you all took away after watching this film, and what were some things that didn't work for you? Let's talk about it all in the comments below. So it was probably about 1.5 years ago when they first dropped the trailer, and I was hyped. I love this cast. I love the idea. Give me this movie now. But then radio silence. No teasers, no trailers, no behind the scenes, no nothing. But then about 3 weeks ago, we got a brand new trailer. I have seen the film, and here we are talking about it. And I want to start off by talking about how impressed I was by first-time director and co-writer of this film, Juel Taylor. Now, I use the word impressed because this is a genre-bending film that Jules handles with such ease. He's playing with science fiction. He's playing with a little bit of horror. He's also adding in some important social commentary, all while dumping in some satire comedy, y'all. He's doing so much, and he's doing a great job at doing it. Now, I also appreciated how he's able to pay homage to the era of blaxploitation films and making it in a way of his own, because he's crafting his own style, his own story. Very impressed by his direction, so much so that I will be keeping my eyes and ears out for the next time he directs the film, because he did a hell of a job in making all the pieces to this complex puzzle come together. Now, sticking to the theme of the making of the movie, talking about the production, I was so impressed by how the film looked, because it was shot in a way in which it was kind of a grainy texture that made you feel like you were watching a film from the 1970s, but still having these great moments in which our characters are wearing these colors that pop on screen. So hair, makeup, style, substance, all of that within this film. But also the score was great, but the soundtrack was fire, y'all. The soundtrack is a character in itself, because the soundtrack comes in and it feels like it's just setting the tone, setting the mood, and it is just such a great soundtrack. Again, a lot of the making of this movie was very impressive. But speaking of impressive, let's talk about these performances and talk about these characters. And I'm talking about the trio that I didn't know I need, but boy, I fell in love with them. I'm talking about Yo-Yo, Fontaine, and my boy Slick Charles. Incredible cast, incredible chemistry. And I want to start off by talking about John Boyega, who I have been a fan of his since 2011's Attack the Block. And the way he's crafted out his career has been fantastic. His last few roles just speaks volumes of his range that he has. I'm talking about Breaking. You know, he had a film last year with The Woman King, and then he had this mini series by Stephen McQueen by the name of Small Axe. He is a generational talent. He is the next 20 and 30 years in Hollywood. And in this film, he shows you why he's one of the best up-and-coming actors in Hollywood, because he plays a character that is a drug dealer by the name of Fontaine, who comes across the cloning situation going on. And I found his performance to be so fascinating, because on the surface, his character starts off very one-dimensional, very one-note, very stereotypical, but it's purposeful. It's a reason why he comes off to be just kind of there and just being very one note, because within this film, when he uncovers more what's going on, we as an audience learn more about him, and we also get to see this really well put together arc that he has in the film that I personally really enjoyed. Now, speaking of enjoying, let's talk about who I think to be one of the most talented persons, people, human beings on the planet Earth, and I'm so glad he's doing well and he's in good health. I'm talking about the one and only Jamie Foxx, who plays Slick Charles, the pimp of this film. And he is on the nose as a pimp, but he has these moments in this film of self-reflection and perspective and greater purpose to his story. And Jamie gets to do his best and show you his range from being the comedic relief. There's a lot of funny moments that we get with Charles in this film, but then there's also some serious dramatic moments that just, again, shows you you the amazing range that the incredible Jamie Foxx has. And like I said, I'm so glad to hear that my man is doing well, and I can't wait to see more of the projects he has lined up for us. Now, I'm going to be honest with you all. I love Jamie Foxx. I love me some John Boyega, and I really had a good time with both those characters. But my favorite character comes by the name of Yo-Yo, played by the incredible Teyonah Parris. She was fantastic. She completely is just having fun in this role and has some of the best lines, has some of the funniest moments, and plays a huge part of the climax of this film. Again, Yo-Yo, again, a lot of these characters, when you first meet them, I'm going to talk about kind of the pacing here in a bit, they come off very, again, on the nose, stereotypical, but then, again, when the film is crafting itself, you get to see the acting, the nuance, and the performances is fantastic. But again, I love me some Yo-Yo. And again, let me know when you all see the film, who is your favorite character? Mine is Yo-Yo, but let me know yours in the comments below. I can't stress enough how impressive it was to see this film shifting and switching the tone and tackling the story and its themes. The first half, we get to watch these unlikely trio uncover this government cloning conspiracy, and the film leans into the tropes of the characteristics of those blaxploitation films, which we see them leaning into the satire of the conspiracies of the government, tampering with music and television and chicken and grape soda and just playing it into those tropes. And it does it in such a way, hilarious way, by the way, but also scary at the same time. And then we shift into the second half of this film, where it's more of a reflection of these characters feeling the lack of control that they have over this situation. And there's this kind of predetermination aspects of the film that felt like the Truman Show, Twilight Zone elements, and it has this realness to it, and you get to see these characters kind of question what is the purpose of what they're doing in their lives. And then the heart and the soul of this film is when the film shows you the importance of the community and standing for something and fighting for change. Just extremely well done, and I was locked in from the beginning of this movie. So those are my main positives. Shifting gears and talking about my criticisms here, I got some nitpicks, starting off with my favorite genres are science fiction and horror. And I personally wish we would have leaned into those genres just a little more. Again, this is a nitpick, but some of my biggest issues with I had with this film was I feel like the second half didn't feel as interesting, nor as exciting, nor as compelling as the first act and the third act. And you feel it kind of teeters off in a little bit. Like the film is almost 2 hours, and I feel like that second half is where things kind of slow down and the momentum kind of slow down for me personally. But then also, there's a particular part in this film where we get a bunch of exposition, where we have a particular character explaining the big picture, and that to me, I wish it was just more unique. I wish it had a better delivery to give us this exposition, because the film is very kind of a lot of style, a lot of substance, and it's very creative in how they tell the story. But then it has this very stereotypical of like the bad person behind the scenes and giving us all the information. I just wish it was more unique in giving us that information. So those are my main criticisms. Before I give you all my overall score, if you stuck around to the point of the video, I just want to take the time to thank you all. And if you appreciate the review so far, consider hitting the like button, sharing today's review, leaving your thoughts in the comments, and consider subscribing to the channel. Overall, They Cloned Tyrone is without a doubt one of my favorite films I've seen so far this year. First-time director Juel Taylor has a bona fide hit on his hands, and he did such a great job of directing this movie. This is my type of film because it tackles and balances tone so well. It's funny, it's dark, it has a mysterious tone throughout that has had me locked in from the start. It is a quintessential throwback to the 1970 blaxploitation style films such as Dolomite, The Mac, Foxy Brown, but manages to tell its own story about conspiracies and the real mistreatment in the black communities by the U.S. government. John Boyega, Teyonah Parris, and Jamie Foxx are legit perfect for these roles, and their chemistry was off the chain. Love the grainy look to the film and the cinematography. Love the soundtrack. This felt like Jordan Peele's Get Out meets Donald Glover's Atlanta, and I absolutely had a blast with this film. I'm going to give They Cloned Tyrone a 4 out of 5, and I had such a good time with it. It kind of breaks my heart that I wasn't able to see this in a crowded theater because this is exclusively on Netflix. I know it was limited in some states. It wasn't available here in my theater. I had to watch it at home, but I still enjoyed it. I just wish I could have been in that communal element, like the blackening. It was like one of my favorite films in theater because it was just the energy of the film. You could just feel like people would have a good time, because I certainly did. But hey, that's my thoughts on They Cloned Tyrone. I want to know yours in the comments below. What was your favorite moment? Who was your favorite characters? What were the deeper things you all took away? And again, what were some things that didn't work for you all? Let's have all those discussions in the comments section. I can't thank you enough for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. Before we wrap things up, if you can consider hitting the like button, sharing the review, leaving your thoughts in the comments, and of course, consider subscribing to the channel. You all have been awesome. Hope you're staying safe. Come and join the community. Check out all my other reviews I've done so far this year. Check out my most recent review, and we'll catch you all on the next video.